Hello, and welcome to another fun-filled episode of Career Retrospectives, right here on the Super Review Show. I am joined by my two incredible great friends, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Hey, almost forgot to take myself off mute.
Oh, wow. We're doing great. We're off to a terrible start already.
Great start.
Yeah, we're doing so. It's only May 30th. We're almost done with May. Whatever. No, but as the title of this video / podcast suggests, we're going to be talking about Def Leppard's latest release called Drastic Symphonies. I need to catch my breath after that. I don't know why I do. That's okay. Anyways,
man, you almost drastically passed out there.
I practically did. It would have been terrible. Since Kyle, this was it wasn't your pick, but this was your idea, right? Do you want to go first?
Sure. So, Def Leppard last year, actually almost exactly a year ago, we talked about them in their last release, which I think we're all in agreement was not good. Seems like the rest of the fandom kind of disagrees with us on that from what I've seen. But I will still stand by that release was honestly, in my opinion, by far their worst release. So coming off the heels of that, we kind of only have up to go from there. I mean, this wasn't really, it's not a new album per se. It's all just reimagined songs from their catalog. I will say before we get into track lists that I was a little bit disappointed with a lot of the song selection on here. I feel like there was many big hits completely omitted from this in favor of some, I don't want to say not so good songs, but definitely some of those and just some questionable choices. For example, Pyromania, incredibly underrepresented album here. Only one track from there. Missing major hits like Photograph, Armageddon It, Rock of Ages, Rocket. There's so many huge hits that could have worked so well on this that were just completely omitted. And where I feel like it could have gone a little bit better for me, just a little spoiler, is they went kind of the route I didn't want them to go on this, in that they kind of played it safe, where they took all the slower songs and the ballads that would, generally more likely to work with an orchestra and symphonic arrangements, and went that way with it, where I was kind of hoping they were going to go the Metallica S&M way, where you're merging two genres together, but we really didn't get that. And then in the places where we could have gotten that, they kind of took it the other way, which I'll get into when we talk about track lists. But I mean, for me, spoiler alert for the ratings, it's a step in the right direction, even though it's not a new studio album. I will say I enjoyed this more than their last release.
Fair enough. And Mike, what do you got?
Well, just to, kind of give a background. I've always been know the hits kind of guy for Def Leppard. Even know the hits, I've never been super well acquainted with them. They've just been kind of songs that I vaguely knew, and never was a huge fan of their music. So coming into this, I definitely had to go back and listen to a lot of the songs to kind of see how the orchestra kind of fit in with it, if it really brought something that the original hadn't wasn't being enhanced or brought anything new to the table. And I kind of what Kyle said, at times I was kind of hoping more for some driving percussion alongside the orchestra. A lot of ways we get these songs without any drumming and our orchestra at all, which kind of left me feeling kind of by the end of it, I was missing something. And I kind of going back to what Kyle said, there's a bunch of songs that I recognize from them that I didn't hear here. And then we get two new songs, or I don't know if it was 2 or 3 off of the new album.
I believe it was here. 2.
Which was it 2?
It was, yeah, it was 2. It was Angels Can't Help You Here and Goodbye for Good this time.
Yeah. Right. And which I feel did nothing for this album, which was interesting. That it feels I'd like to hear a part 2 with, it would have been cool if they did 2, if they did Lullaby Symphony and Aggressive Symphony albums, Red and, you know what I mean, 2
like
Kyle said, like
Hiss
you
on their symphony album.
exactly. I would have loved to hear like the more calming, peaceful orchestra, and then more like beat you in the head, like like yeah, here's the rockin' orchestra. Side by side albums, but instead they kind of mashed it together. And it had some ups and downs, but I'm a sucker for orchestra, so this definitely was in my wheelhouse. It's just interesting choices. I wish they would have Lady Strange. I would have liked to hear. That would have been a cool orchestra alongside that one, but missing some songs, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'll get more into it when we talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much. I mean, I'm like 92% in the same boat as you guys. I big Def Leppard fan, always have been since first knowing about who they are and who they were and whatnot. And I to Kyle's point, I do agree with him. Like some of the song choices were questionable. Like why would you leave off like stuff of Pyromania or tracks like Armageddon? And I totally agree with you on that. That was a questionable choice. And I do agree to Kyle's point as well that this could have been a quote unquote Metallica S&M type of symphony, metal / hair metal rock album, where the two do combine. But we really, I don't want to give too much away, but we didn't really get that per se necessarily. But it's, I do agree though to your point there. And also, actually, I truthfully, I agree to Mike's points as well. I'm a huge fan of when you can blend rock music with string sections or even horn sections. That's why I'm such a big fan of certain artists, like with Chicago and like the Electric Light Orchestra and Billy Joel to some extent with some of his earlier stuff has horns and strings and all these different types of arrangements and stuff. That's why I'm a sucker for that stuff. But with Def Leppard, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, they did have Love and Hate Collide, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is on here as well. Love and Hate Collide was a big single for them, and it was it did have that slower ballady, I shouldn't say ballad, but it had that vibe to it of all right, this could be symphonic. And I gotta tell you, I'm just gonna say it right up right now, the Hysteria one really got me because Hysteria is in my top 30 or 35 songs of all time. I love that song, and for whatever reason, the Hysteria one worked for me. We'll get to that when we get to the track list. Yeah, I do agree though it was a step in a better direction than Diamond Star Halos, questionable still to this day. But yeah, I'm really happy that they moved in a different direction, probably following the response of some of the fan base of Def Leppard's Diamond Star Halos. Now we're talking about Drastic Symphonies. So, anyways, but that was my own initial impressions and whatnot going into this. And let's go. Anything else? We're ready to go to the track listing, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hold on one sec. So the song
ready to rate it. So I rate it. No, I'm just kidding.
He's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to rate it, baby. Let's go. There's no Wikipedia page for it. We're just gonna go off this though. But for Drastic Symphonies, they had
oh boy, this is out of order.
Oh no.
Yeah. It is out of order.
Technical difficulties already.
Don't mind us. We're gonna make a Wikipedia page while we're here just to get this going. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Here we go. Here we go. On Def Leppard's actual website. Don't sue us. Track listing as follows: Turn to Dust, Paper Sun, Animal, Pour Some Sugar on Me, Hysteria, Love Bites, Goodbye for Good This Time, Love, Gods of War, Angels, in parentheses, Can't Help You Now, Bring It On the Heartbreak, Switch 625, Too Late for Love, When Love and Hate Collide. Oh, it wasn't there. I forgot about that. And Kings of the World. And it says the vinyl bonus track has Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad, which is actually a really good track too. Kyle, you want to go first again?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, cool.
So one of the first things I'll say about this is, before I even touch on specific tracks, was actually a majority of these tracks I felt like had this weird problem, and I think it's more on the production side than anything, of the orchestra, the symphony, really overpowering everything else that was happening at the time. Very questionable choice. specifically on the first half to 3/4 of the record. I noticed that it does get better toward the end. This is a very, very backloaded album for me anyway. I think Turn to Dust being, taking a song from Slang and having that be the opener, a bit interesting. But here's where I was really like, the orchestration on this is really drowning everything out. Like any like instrumentation other than the orchestra happening here, even the vocals were kind of a huge backseat. It's not bad. I was kind of a 6 on this one. Then get to Paper Sun again. Weird opening to me, having 2 relatively less popular songs kick off the album. The mix is a bit better. Vocals are good. The gang vocals are great. Very nostalgic feeling. The 7. Animal. This is the first, I believe, lead single from the record here. One of my favorite Def Leppard songs, but the arrangement doesn't work for me. This again, the symphony just kind of overpowers everything else going on. I wouldn't revisit this version. 4 out of 10. And then we get to the biggest travesty I think they've ever done in their entire career. Biggest misstep of all time in their career. And that's this weird Pour Some Sugar on Me stripped down version. I'm sorry, this doesn't work. My exact notes on this was, what the fuck? This is not what I wanted on this. I was actually excited because I was like, all right, we have actually like a rockin' song coming up next. Let's see what they do with it. And they went this weird ballad route for one of the most fun and cheesiest 80s songs of all time. And you take it and try to turn it into a sappy love song. It does not work. It does not work at all for this track. This is a 2 out of 10.
But I have to interject. What? So if it says strip version, does that mean there's another version, or is that just a kind of like a side note to you that they stripped it down for this album at the end, and there is no other version? Because like to say version means like from. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I have never heard a stripped version of it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist somewhere. I'm honestly not sure, but this is the first time I'm hearing it like this, and awful, terrible. Okay. 2 out of 10. Biggest misstep for me. Then we get to Hysteria, which I thought was really good. This went to like an 8. Again, it's not one that I would revisit over the original, but it's an enjoyable listen. Love Bites, never been my favorite Def Leppard song. I do enjoy it, but this one kind of had the same problem, the symphony drowning things out. This was definitely too long. 6 out of 10. Goodbye for Good this time. Questionable choice to put 2 tracks from the latest album on here, especially when only 1 track from Pyromania was represented. So this one just did not do anything to the song that wasn't already done on the previous release. 3 out of 10. Didn't like this one then, don't like it now. Love, incredibly boring. This is the worst 2-run track on the album. Incredibly boring, corny, sappy, lame, repetitive, doesn't do anything. 3 out of 10 again. Gods of War takes a step up. Again, the symphony kind of like distracts and detracts from this. Could have been brought up some more if it was a little bit shorter. Doesn't really go anywhere for the runtime. 6 out of 10. Again, Angels Can Help You Now. Didn't like it then. Don't like it now. It's a middle of the road track. Didn't do anything to it. 5 out of 10. Then we get to kind of the turning point of the album for me, with Bringing On the Heartache or Bringing On the Heartbreak, kicking that off. I prefer the song without the symphony. So it did bring it down a little bit, because this is where it still has that problem where at some points it worked, but then at other points it didn't work for me and it was a little too overpowering. 8.5 though. Best up until this point. And then here's where kind of, pun intended here, but switch 625 actually is kind of the switch in the album for me when it comes to the orchestrated parts, in that from here on, I don't feel like anything gets drowned out. I feel like this is where things started to actually click together and work. It's just an instrumental, but it's faster paced. This is kind of what I was looking for and hoping for on the release. So I got an 8 on this one. Then it goes to, which I didn't know this was a bonus track at all, but Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad? Because this is on the Spotify version. That's where I listened to it. This was out of there were two that scored a 9. This was one of them. This was actually very good. The symphony works well here. It's very well done. It keeps the heart of the original and actually adds to it a bit. So 9 out of 10. Too Late for Love, again, just the original is better. It has nothing to do with the orchestra on this one, actually. It's just not ever been one of my favorite Def Leppard songs. So like the original one's probably only a 7. This one about a 6. And then we get to my next two. When Love and Hate Collide, really great ballad. The orchestration works great on this one. Very well done on all parts. It's not a groundbreaking song or anything, but it's nice. 8. And then I think the perfect way to end the album, my second 9 on here, Kings of the World. Perfect blend on this one. This is, I feel like, the best that they did with incorporating the two sounds together. It's like a triumphant ending. It doesn't quite hit that 10 material, but as an album closer and as finally things starting to fully blend and work together, I feel like this was it. If the whole album sounded like this and swapped out some songs, it could have been much better for me, but this is a 9. Overall, it has its production problems. I think it's a step in the right direction from what I wanted. But man, it starting with the symphony just punching you in the face so often throughout the first half and detracting from anything else going on just brought a lot of it down for me.
All right, Mike, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go for it.
All right, cool. So re-looking at the track listing, actually, I just want to say right up front, if you listen to it on Spotify, it's like an hour and 22 minutes or whatever.
20, yeah, something like that.
It's long, so I mean, forgive me. I mean, it took me like a day or two to just get through it, and a couple of times over to listen to it. But I finally got to it, and I'm all set. Anyways, I look at this, and I can't really. When I listen to an album, I don't always expect to listen to like a flow of songs. Like, like a one song kind of segues into another, kind of like just, like this one goes to the next one, this one goes to the next one. And to me, I can really just pick and choose which ones that stood out to me the most on here compared to like the more obscure tracks on here, like than other ones. So starting off with Turn to Dust and Paper Sun, I never even heard of Turn to Dust until I listened to this. So I have to go back and listen. That's on Slang, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I got to go back and listen to that track because I only know Paper Sun from that record. I gotta re-listen to that I haven't listened to it in a long time. But it's just questionable. When I first saw the track list, I'm like, what is this song? Why haven't I heard this? Is it a cover? Like, I was questioning stuff. But Turn to Dust and Paper Sun are just not. They don't resonate. They didn't really resonate with me that much, so I didn't really care enough for them. Animal. I mean, I appreciate the inclusion of some Hysteria songs on there. 4 right there, back to back. But Animal, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't like great. It definitely could have been something else. Pour Some Sugar. I mean, it's funny you guys mentioned this. I think Kyle mentioned this. I've only heard two other versions of the song, and this is now the third version outside of the original. So really, there's 4 that I've heard in total. There's the original version. There's actually an extended edition, extended version on YouTube, and it's like, instead of being at like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, it's like 5 minutes and 50 seconds or whatever. I don't know if you've ever heard that version. It's like it was made in the 80s when they first recorded the song, but it's not. It wasn't on like it was on like the Hysteria like 30th anniversary super deluxe or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, so there's that. Hearing this version, I was surprised they put this. I mean, to me, like, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Joe Elliott and I'm saying, like, Pour Some Sugar on Me has to be on this record, how it didn't? I'm not one to say this on air, but like, Kyle, I completely agree with you. Like, you didn't need to include this one because it was too. I was in the same way when I read it. I'm like, oh, I'm probably expecting some sort of like bombastic, symphonic, high energy track, and you're right, it just did not go anywhere for me either. Definitely not one. I would actually, I didn't even like say, I didn't say what the F, but like, I turned it off. I was like, what is this? I literally turned it off. I paused it in my car and I was like, what is this? It's not Def Leppard. What are you doing? Questionable. But Hysteria, I prefer, as I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but Hysteria is in my top 30 or 35. It's not in my top 25, but it's in my top 30 or 40, 35 or 30 best favorite songs of all time. It's like an honorable mention track. I love that song off Hysteria, the off the album in general. It's a great, the original track is great. So hearing this, I was like, all right, this, so seeing that this was on there, I was like, all right, I got to hear it. And sure enough, it delivered, but it didn't deliver as much as I thought it was going to. This version of Hysteria was good, but it wasn't like, wow, this is incredible. Like it didn't deliver as much as I thought it was. So that was kind of a misstep for me, but I still liked it overall. I wouldn't go back to it as much as I thought I would. Yeah. Love Bites. It's more of a ballady thing, and they did add the strings to it, and then some symphonic elements to it. Love Bites. It was their only number one song on the Hot 100 back in the day. So I mean, I could, but also as a ballad at the same time, so I could see why they're like that. Why they included it. And then Goodbye for Good this time, I just forgot what the album this was on. I completely forgot, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm sorry, I hate to be that guy, but it's just like I just didn't care for it. Love didn't really care for it. Gods of War, I forgot was on Hysteria. I actually forgot that this one was on like the side 2 of the vinyl or the CD or whatever, or
the worst side. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, if you go back and listen to Hysteria by Def Leppard, side 1 is incredible. The only really good song on side 2 is the title track, which, you know, me, I'm a title track sucker. Anyways,
we're in complete agreement on that.
Yeah, it's completely. Angels Can't Help You Now. I had to go. I almost had to go back and listen to just the regular first song. The first version, it was all right. I mean, I wasn't like thrilled by it. Whatever. It's funny that they put Bring On the Heartbreak and Switch 625 together here as well as they did on High and Dry back in '81, because those two songs segue together on the album. You know, it's a segue, and I was kind of expecting something like that, and it's all right. I mean, it was, but Bring It On the Heartbreak though, it's definitely a ballad. I mean, I think Mariah Carey even covered it at one point, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know. I heard like a solo piano version that she did, or someone did at one point. By that, I was like, oh my God, what are they doing? I could see why they included it. It was all right. It wasn't great. Switch 625. It's just there, in my opinion. But Too Late for Love, good song, a good original song. This one was a little bit too like, not too symphonic. That's not a word, but like not too symphonic, but just like it was just there. It was good plus. I'll put it that way. And When Love and Hate Collide, I totally see why they included this. The original track has that kind of like string section in it already, but I guess they just redid it for this one. And Kings of the World, I had never heard the original song until now. I actually went back to that one as well. So that was actually pretty good too. And Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad? I actually had this from 1992's Adrenalize. I have that on vinyl from Venezuela in my record collection. So Mike, next time you come over, you got to see it. And you too, but I love the song. This one I didn't get to it, but I just want to shed some love on it. It's a great song from a great album called Adrenalize, which Lewis has like Let's Get Rocked, and you know, and obviously this ballad as well. Great song overall. But yeah, for me, a lot of it didn't. Well, I go back to my original thing. It didn't flow as much as I thought it would. I thought it would be a lot more like cohesive, I guess the word you could say is, but it was a little all over the place for some of the parts of it. We'll get to our rating a little bit, but very much like in a similar vein as Kyle with some differences. But I know Mike loved this record. I know Mike thought this was the greatest thing since Electric Light Orchestra's
Yeah, it's the best ever. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. It was interesting to kind of come into this, and I kind of like feel like kind of agree with Kyle in the sense I feel like they didn't exactly think this one through very well when it came to like what songs they were going to pick and how they were going to present them. I feel it almost feels experimental up until about halfway through the album, like, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do a version of like this? And then, oh, like, we're gonna do some real epic intro to this song, even though this is not really a song probably people want to hear. And then, oh, like, we're gonna do this one this way, and no, like, it feels very confused, like it's not sure exactly what kind of orchestration it wants to provide for each song and if it's going to work. And then like eventually it brings it all together towards the end, and it's definitely backloaded for sure. And like so I'll start with my worst. Obviously, Pour Some Sugar on Me was one of the worst things I've heard. Like, I was playing it in the living room, and my girlfriend and I were listening and going, the hell is this? Like, is this a joke? Like, the lyrics are funny, and they're doing it almost in a way like you watch like a movie like Old School, where he's singing like a sappy love song but swearing during it. Like, I almost expected them to start cursing during it or doing something funny. It felt like a skit on a comedy show. Out of 10,
I like something on SNL.
and so what I, yeah, exactly, like some karaoke singer decided to do a like love version of a funny song, and get everybody, bum them out or something, even though the song's supposed to pump you up. So I did a different thing for this album. I did a rating for the song as with the orchestra and the song together, and then a second rating for just or how I felt orchestra accompanied the song. So it got a 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10 for its rating, and a 0 out of 10 for orchestra working for that song for Pour Some Sugar on Me. And then we'll move on to our next worst song, the open. It really feels out of place. It just it has no kind of like just the orchestra parts, like they just don't belong in a song. And then when the song comes on, it's just like, okay, and then it just kind of comes back in the middle with a weird kind of orchestration. It just did not fit, and it felt weird. So it was a 5 out of 10 and a 5 for orchestra fitting in the song.
Well, that was their
we
grunge
kind of like
album.
come up with, oh yeah, well, it grunged. It didn't grunge the way it needed to grunge, and it didn't translate. And then we'll kind of come up into some of our sixes. God of War was like a 6.5. I said wish this track was heavier, pretty catchy vocals, and it works with the orchestra, but at times the orchestra felt sinister for this song. Like you had a glam rock feel in the middle, but then like you have this like weird kind of sounding orchestra that just an intimidating voiceover in it that just did not fit for that song. Same thing with like Love. It had some cool orchestration alongside the solos, but overall it just isn't the greatest to accomplish for that song, for a ballady feel. It just didn't it just wasn't able to kind of blend the two together. Same thing for Angels Can't Help You Now. Yeah, it's a 6 out of 10. It's just like the song really works with orchestra because it kind of feels like it was made for that, but it's still not a song I enjoy. So it's like it had that lullaby kind of quality to it, but it just feels strange for a Def Leppard song. And I think I said that last time I reviewed the album it came off of, which was the newest, Halo Star or something. I don't even remember the title, to be honest with you.
Diamond Star
I
Halo.
don't care to. That's
There you go.
that's yeah, it just doesn't, it's not interesting. And kind of like, and back with my sixes here. Animal, it was a 6.5 out of 10. Song needed drums. It freaking needed drums. And I understand what they're doing here. They're doing a different arrangement where it feels like you're listening to a building momentum song, like where the violins are doing this kind of thing, like it's a building kind of thing. Just to me felt like it lost the momentum of the song. It surrendered it to a kind of colorful orchestration, but the song itself was drowned out by the orchestra being the front face here, and not getting a good blend. And that's too bad, because I had the opportunity to be one of the songs that did better. So yeah, those are kind of rounding out my sixes. And then we kind of move up into my sevens, and actually Too Late for Love actually as well. Out of 10. The pacing was weird for this one. Reminds me of Animal, actually, where the orchestra arrangements are going for this epic feel, but ultimately stunts the development of the song. The blending of the orchestra does not happen. And I agree with Kyle. There are times where the orchestra kind of drowns out the song, and like, I'm all for orchestra, but I'm also for like a good ending. And yeah, that kind of rounds out my sixes. Then we'll kind of move up into some of my sevens and eights. Paper Sun, coming in the second track of the album, 7.5 out of 10. Actually, the integration of the orchestra worked for this one. And damn you, Kyle, stop agreeing with me. Like I was like, we agree with
We're back to this
things
now.
on this. It's just like something's wrong. Yeah, we're back to like like the front loaded out. It's back loaded. The front is kind of weak. The orchestra is drowning things out. Stop agreeing with the things I've already. We didn't rehearse this. But yeah, it's integrated well. It fits alongside the drums, adds a dynamic to the music. That's how you do it. 7.5 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for the orchestra side, fitting with the music. So I like the song. It's just nothing that these ratings could be higher, but these songs don't just blow me away as a fan of the song. So like, it's kind of, you have like critiquing music from the stand of the music itself, and then taking out if you like it or not, and then do you actually like the music and find yourself listening to it again. And I feel like as we get to these songs, these are the kind of songs that I would listen to again, and I felt did it well. So kind of like, it's weird kind of a deal there. Then we Hysteria, 8 out of 10. Orchestra buries the song here. Vocals in the background at time feel a little over on the mix. It's not a bad addition to the song. It really could have used a re-record of the song. I felt like the song itself, like the original heart of the song, is just kind of, it just doesn't fit. It's still a great song. It's just 6 out of 10 for the orchestra side, 8 out of 10 for the song itself. And then Love Bites. That's cool. It's just a cool song. It's got that the orchestra actually adds a much needed element to the song. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of the pacing of the song, but I do like the orchestra's ad. And then we have coming down the list here, Bringing on the Heartbreak. It was a 7 out of 10 for me. Orchestra, once again, feels a little overbearing here again. 5 out of 10 for the orchestra, fitting with the song. Yeah, this could be so much more, and it felt like I would have just really preferred to listen to the original on this one, and almost did, because I was just so disappointed with that, what it could have been. And then actually coming to one of my higher rated songs, Switch 625. It actually was a very instrumental. Orchestra was really enhanced this. Great song, 9 out of 10, and it's a 10 out of 10 for the orchestra fitting in. And Kyle, like, once again, like, I was just like, this is cool. Like,
Yep.
this is well done. This is what this album needs. And it's, of course, coming in the back end of the record. And you kind of just like, this is where it needed to hit some real high notes, and then coming in for When Love and Hate Collide and Kings of the World, both 8 out of 10. Good song. Remind me how orchestration is blended, how it should be done, and how it needed to so bad for the rest of the album. Kings of the World, I love how just epic and sing along this is. It's the thing the end of the album should have. It's almost a goodbye. It's almost like, hopefully what we'll, like Kyle was saying, we'll see from this band coming in as they begin to kind of release new music. Maybe they'll do a part of this kind of thing, like I was saying, a little more like this is the rockin' side and that was the this side. It might be a little too late for that now, but they could still release a more rockin' symphony album with some of the tracks they didn't pick, kind of coming into this into the next era of their of their music. And so I mean, like, ultimately, it missed the opportunities it was given to kind of really do a cool orchestra blended rock album, and sacrificed that for some experimental things like that horrible Pour Some Sugar on Me, the weird opener, the animal feels like it, the animal's dead, there's no beat, the Turn to Dust, hopefully that's not a metaphor for their career. And like, I mean, just like some of these weird songs in the beginning just like kind of like made you feel like, this is what they're gonna do. Hysteria is like there, but it's not what you want it to be. And then it starts to turn the corner, and if you just get rid of Angels Can't Help You Now, you get rid of the other song from that new album, Goodbye for Now. Those two kind of stunt the middle. They're not horrible, but they're just like, take them or leave them. It could have really kicked ass here at the end of this thing and just made the whole second half just a real home run. But it's up and down, and it just it misses some opportunities.
That was a lot. That was a lot. And anything else with the track listing, guys, or we also have to go to our rating?
Yeah.
No, I'm good to rate it.
All right, good. Let's go Kago first. Can you just erase what you drew on the screen for a second? Thank you.
I like how you X'd out the song. That's great.
He's like, who needs that? Whatever. Who needs Pour Some Sugar on Me? This stripped down version. Anyways. Yes. Kyle, go ahead. I'm sorry I cut you off.
So, like I said earlier, I had the problems with the production, right? But some of my biggest problems outside of that, I could overlook that if it wasn't for the weird song choice. So out of those three that I just crossed out, there was no need to have, I'm sorry, I know they probably don't want to be a greatest hits, career look back retrospective band at this point. They're still releasing music, but at the end of the day, doing an album like this with reimagined versions of your songs and putting two from the last album that just came out a year ago and only one from one of your biggest records with, in my opinion, your best record. I mean, I'm just going to quickly rattle off some things that should have been on here in place of those three. And then Love, I would have gotten rid of that. I don't think that was necessary. If instead of that, they put on like from Pyromania, Rock Till You Drop, Photograph, Die Hard the Hunter, Foolin', Rock of Ages, Billy's Got a Gun. Half that album could have been so good on here. Even if you wanted to take like the slower songs, put like Foolin' on there, something. Big misrepresentation there. Made the Pour Some Sugar on Me, did the real version of it and put symphony orchestra behind it, would have been fine. But with what it is, a lot of like swings and misses on here, weird choices, and like me and Mike both agree on, super backloaded. Like when you got to like switch 625 in like particular, that's when I feel like the orchestra really started to actually work with what was going on. Not to say there weren't good songs before that, but it was definitely more interspersed throughout some weird choices. Even putting anything from Slang on here, Turn to Dust being the opener, weird choice. Why pick that from the album that is known through everyone to be the album that you don't talk about from Def Leppard? But it is what it is. I do honestly think it's a step in the right direction, even though these are all old songs for the most part. There's nothing new on here really. But I think it's a step in where I'd like to see them go. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's a step up for sure from the last album. I wish it went a little more into, I see Mike's, I either am giving it too high of a score or exactly what Mike is giving it. But yeah, 6 out of 10, definitely better. The vocals are actually really good. I think the vocals are way better than the last album. I don't know if it's studio magic. I don't know if he just really gave more into this performance. It could have been their S&M, but it just kind of missed the opportunity. It's, when I compare it to other bands that have done like these orchestrated concerts. Your Metallica, they did the S&M thing twice, and I think that both of those were better. Kiss did it, and I think they did it better. Even Bring Me the Horizon did it, and they did it very well. So in terms of where it lands in regard to other collaborations, it's probably my least favorite. Having said that, there's some songs I would go back to 6 out of 10.
Mike loved it.
Oh, he gave it the same exact rating
Hell
as
yeah.
me. Kyle, you freaking suck. I had a 6.5, but I did my usual deduction because of the lack of cohesion, so it deducted a half a point. I was gonna have exactly 6.5, but then I was like, all right, let's go 6. Drastic Symphony, more like drastic missed opportunity. I mean, it's really, that's like, it really, it did not come forward with, it was confused and unable to really kind of decide what it wanted to do until the end, maybe because the songs they picked actually would work well, and then the other ones it just felt very kind of like they were just bored with the original songs and wanted to try some weird mix-ups and song choices, try to be more like yeah, look how we've dug deep in our catalog and reinvented these songs, breathed new life into them. And it's like you're looking at them going like, dude, get back on the stage and play the things everyone wants to hear. Like, don't be over here trying to capture some magic that doesn't exist. Like, you can't capture magic that is not there. And that's essentially what they were doing. They're trying to an orchestra cannot breathe life into something that kind of really didn't have any. So and I think that's what they were going for with a lot of these different songs, and the songs that are good and that the orchestra fit alongside weren't enhanced by those the orchestra. It just fit with it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, man, I couldn't imagine this song without it. Now it was just more like that orchestra fit and did a decent job. Like, but it just didn't complete the picture. It didn't bring the everything to get together. It just like it's just a missed opportunity. So 6 out of 10 for me. Definitely needed new song choices, definitely needed it, like JT said, a new arrangement of songs that flow together, because a lot of the time I just hear a song like from one song to the next, it didn't feel like those songs accompanied each other, or it just felt like I could just skip past and rearrange it for them and it would be better. But not horrible. It's listenable. It's something I could put on and ultimately forget some song and tune in for others. But 6 out of 10 is pretty much where it's at.
Well, I think this might be the first time this has happened on this show.
Oh no.
Oh yes. I'm not as quite. I'm very, very divisive right now, for lack of a better word. I didn't hate what I heard, but I didn't love what I heard. I didn't necessarily think it was, Jordy or 5 Seconds of Summer's, 5 sauce 5, but I didn't think it was like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors or AC/DC's Back in Black. I didn't think it was, very, very, very in the middle. I'm actually giving it, and I can't believe I'm saying these words, I am the villain. I'm giving this a 5.75
yes
out of 10.
yes.
You heard it here
first time ever.
Yes, you heard it. There were things I liked, and there was things I did not like. But the things that I didn't like just kind of just like by the slightest amount outweighed it for me a little bit. But I'm giving it a 5.75 out of 10. Wow, it feels good to be bad now, doesn't it?
This could be the turn of this could be the new JT that comes in and just hates on everything. You just like rip things to shreds, even stuff that you think you're gonna love. You're just like, hate it.
Oh yeah, no, I thought I was really gonna like this because, like I said, I love me some Chicago with like their strings and their horns, and I love ELO like with their strings and some of their horns here and there. Like I'm not opposed to that sound, but when you get a track like Pour Some Sugar on Me, which is a great song, and then you do what you did to it on this record, you're like, crap, what happened?
He
Like, what
murdered it,
happened?
and for the
Like,
for the
In a
sake of
way,
like,
in a way, it kind of takes skill, and it's kind of impressive that you can take a song that I would generally give like an 11 to. Like that's one of the, in my opinion, the best songs of all time. Iconic song. Take that and go all the way down to a 2. It takes talent to do that. Like, and in a serious way.
Yeah.
Like if they went on like SNL and
Yeah.
did this in the background as like a lounge singer kind of like joke or skit, I'd be like, oh, that's funny. But they put this out there thinking like people are gonna like this. This is what people want to hear from us.
people want Def Leppard to suck.
The two
Oh,
voices didn't fit together. The way he was doing
No.
this, like, and she was trying to go on top of that. It felt like, it felt like a horrible joke where someone's actually trying to do a bad karaoke version of a sappy song, of a rock song, and try to just like Kyle said, like, how bad can I be? Like, next to saying some like crazy things in the middle of the track that are just like were racist words or something to get like everybody upset at them. Like that could have been another way to do, like turn it into like real like avant-garde like techno track with like, like just say random words during it, like that would have brought it to a 0, but they just didn't want to go full on nosedive. It was like a gradual nosedive.
It was like here's a plane.
Kudos to them. Or pour some sugar on it.
Pour some sugar on it. It's like not getting. It's like slowly, like it goes down after it has fun. If you catch my drift, good for you. Sorry.
Pour some sugar on you and then throw some fire ants on me because of that sugar. That's it.
I was gonna say something, but I won't. But
that's it.
Anyways, you guys heard our ratings here. We got 6 out of 10, 6 out of 10, and I am the villain tonight. I'm a 5.75 on this. Thank you, everyone. I'll be here all year. Thanks so much. But yeah, ultimately, this was
Kyle's raising his hand.
Kyle's raising.
Clapping.
He's clapping.
Oh, clapping.
I'm the villain. Yeah,
raising your hand, and it was like hallelujah.
Oh my god!
So we have to spin the wheel.
Yes, we gotta spin the. I think you're all set. Whenever you're ready, you can spin it. So we're spinning the wheel now about what is our next album we're going to discuss next. There's only 3 picks left. Oh my god, and 2 of them are Kyle's, right?
Woo!
No, only one's mine.
Oh, sorry. We could let any 3 of us, right? Oh boy, here we go. The wheel is spinning.
Boy.
Land on Kyle's pick.
Nope.
Oh, what?
Hey.
Wow. So
Winner.
next week.
Winner.
Next week is my pick. It's Band on the Run from Paul McCartney. I'm excited because I don't know if you guys know that album turns 50 this year, in December.
Wow. Nice.
So I'm kind of glad that it landed on it. I wasn't sure if we'd get to it, but hey, there we go. So next week is Band on the Run, an album that it's an 8. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Don't worry, everyone. It's all good. No, I'm just kidding. No, but next week's Band on the Run. Like, super excited about that. We'll have to wait and see what these guys have to say as well. Thank you so much for watching, listening. However you enjoyed us tonight. If you like what you've seen here, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you like what you've heard here, follow our podcast forum as well. We're on all platforms. And if you haven't checked out Q&A podcast, this guy down here, Kyle the Q Man, this guy is a killer man on podcasts. He is just casual conversations with his buddy Steve, and I cannot emphasize that. They did such a great job down there. So give yourself a round of applause.
Can you give us a little taste of what the episode currently is about, Kyle? Or
the latest episode is actually, we had a bit of a band reunion. We had 3/4 of our old high school and early college band, and we kind of just reminisced about the old days of being in a band and kind of the history of
Nights
all
of Nothing.
Nights of Nothing all the way to present day. So a couple bands across there too.
Nice.
No one looked up
Holy
Nights of
cow.
Nothing. Terrible. It's terrible.
So it's almost worse. It's almost a terrible name as Green Day. I'm just kidding. What?
It was a terrible,
Oh,
terrible
No, it's all right.
2 albums. One album was good. 1.5.
I like it. Don't worry. No, but we got to wrap this up. Thanks so much for watching, listening. However you enjoyed us. Stay safe. Take care. And we'll see you guys